Today we're going to be going over some fragrances that are so strong that they could last through a shower. Really, you have to make an effort to scrub these off and really give them some extra attention when you're trying to wash these off in order to move on to the next scent. And for a lot of people, I think that might sound a bit weird, but maybe you strive for that. You want something that's so strong, it needs to be scrubbed off. You're really going for that maximum performance. And that's good if you're someone who wants to get the most out of their scent and you put performance first. You want some things that last super long. This video is going to be for you. We've got a bunch of different things in here at varying price points. So no matter where you're at in your collecting hobby, you're going to find something that you'll like and enjoy and get some use out of. I always recommend shopping through discounters when you can to save the most amount of money. So I'll link them all down below so that way you can get them at the best prices. Okay, let's get things kicked off with Bvlgari Man in Black. It's all about the tobacco, spicy notes. You get a little bit of rum in here. I've always kind of described this one as a boozy and grown-up spice bomb. You know, Spice Bomb EDT, that one has been around for a long time, got hyped up, deserving. You know, it's a great scent. But because of that, it also gets hated on or lumped into the more generic or played-out category. And it also gets lumped into more of the playful and young-smelling scent crowd. And so, again, Man in Black has a little bit more of a grown-up feel to it. And I've always kind of said Spice Bomb EDT, if that's something you were wearing in your early 20s, Man in Black is something that you could be pulling off in your 30s now because it is more grown up and more refined. But it does still have great performance. This is the type of thing that will last on your skin for a long time. Because it's so spicy and strong, when you're showering, you got to really make sure to scrub this one off pretty good. Otherwise, you'll still smell some remains afterwards. So you definitely have to be mindful of that. Very strong stuff, and for a pretty competitive price on discounters. Next up, we have Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Intense. So this one has smoke, has chili pepper, almond, some leather, some tonka bean. Going to be the most smoky and the most rough version of L'Homme Ideal. I don't mean that in a bad way or a synthetic way or a, cheap smelling way when I say rough, but it has the most texture and, again, the most smoke and spiciness out of all of the others. It's also one of the lesser hyped up scents from the line. It's one that has always been easy to get. There were times where the EDP and the Extreme were sold out everywhere and very hard to find. This one's always been around and still is. I mean, you can get this one on pretty much any or all of your favorite discounters for a pretty good price. And it still does have that unmistakable L'Homme Ideal DNA, the almond and all of that, which is very unique. But again, this one has an extra layer to it. Very strong stuff. Definitely one to look out for if you want great performance. Let's keep it moving with Versace Dylan Blue. Oh man, this stuff is so strong. Great performance out of a blue scent here. It's got ambroxan, incense, aquatic notes or sea notes, patchouli, if I didn't say that as well. I can't remember if I did. Incense, patchouli, ambroxan, all of that good stuff. It is a powerhouse. And it's funny because it's kind of more of a, a soapy and clean kind of shower gel smell. But even though it kind of follows that kind of traditional route there, it still has amazing, well above average performance, especially for being like a $45 to $50 scent on discounters. And so at that price point for this type of scent, you cannot go wrong with this stuff. I mean, it's a great compliment getter as well. It's so versatile. You could wear it for pretty much anything. There's a lot to love about Dylan Blue. Now, some of the downsides to this would be it's in more of that generic kind of category. But if you can get past that and you just want something that's going to work and perform and get you compliments and last forever, this is one to go for. And again, especially if you're on a budget. If you got $50, you can get into Dylan Blue. And if you think you're going to be wearing it all the time, I always like to bring this up, you can double the amount. So get a 200 ml bottle like this for, I think, roughly $20 more, maybe $25 more. So it works out to be a great price per milliliter to double the amount. And now you've got enough to last a long time if you plan on making this your signature scent and you plan on wearing it every day or several times a week. That would definitely be the way to go. Okay, next up we have Paco Rabanne. Now this designer brand is always going to make a list like this. You notice I said designer brand, not even a particular scent or line, because this brand is notorious for putting out some beast mode scents. And so there was a lot to choose from, but I ended up going with 1 Million Royal, which is kind of one of their newer versions. Now they have some sort of oud version out, but this is one that you can get easily right now. And it's got cardamom, benzoin, cedarwood, some lavender, warm spicy, a little bit of a vanillic feel, lavender freshness, patchouli, giving it some depth in the base. Smells great. It's a 1 million flanker. This is not something that is groundbreaking and earth-shattering, but it does smell fantastic. It's very mass-pleasing. It's going to get the job done, and like most within this line, it has great performance to back it up. It's so sweet, so syrupy, so strong, and that cardamom gives it such a nice little bite, a little bit of a spiciness, that it really is quite addicting, and the performance will make this one go a long, long way. You know, at this point, the 1 millions, they're coming out every year, and they're discontinuing other ones to make room. I have to say, they're doing a pretty good job of kind of releasing some ones that kind of cater to us at least a little bit more. You know, it's kind of doing something a little bit differently with the type of notes they're using and what they're focusing on here. So I have to give credit where credit's due. This one actually turned out pretty good. This next one is going to come as no surprise to anybody. This stuff is crazy, brutal strong. It is Sauvage Elixir. I mean, it needs no introduction. I think that is one of the main reasons that this one has gone so far so quickly, other than the fact that it's a Sauvage, other than the fact that it's, you know, different smelling than Sauvage. I mean, the performance has really just sent this one to the top, because there is no hiding the fact that this stuff is absolutely insane. Super long lasting, strong projection, all of that good stuff. It's got great quality. It really is Sauvage in the most refined and polished form. And again, it is such a different version that we're used to smelling. It's all about the warm spices and the sandalwood. It really is different. Maybe you get bits and pieces of like a Sauvage parfum in here, and that's kind of the extent of it. You know, they really did a good job of separating it from the line and giving us something that's going to be a little bit more interesting to pull off. And you do pay a premium for it. Normally that would really be a deterrent for a lot of people, but I think that performance metric is enough to get people on board, because it truly is one of the strongest designer scents that I have in my collection. It's absolutely insane. Next up, we have Armani Stronger With You, absolutely. And no surprise, coming in at a parfum concentration here. It's another one that has fantastic performance. So kind of has the chestnut deal going on, which is, you know, common within the line. Gives it a little bit of a gourmand feel, kind of gives it some of the by the fireplace smell, but a more, you know, tame designer version. And then also some booziness, a little bit of rum in here, vanilla, tonka, all of that good stuff. You know, you guys know the drill with these by now. And out of all the flankers, the absolutely, this one is my favorite. It's one that pops up from time to time on discounters for a pretty good price, but more often than not, it is kind of sold out. If you get on my mailing list and texting list, every time it pops up, I shoot out a notification so you can get yours. And I would recommend, if you're wanting to grab some for fall and winter, just be on the lookout now and get one as soon as it becomes available to you, because especially going into this time of year, it's going to sell out even quicker when it does show up. And in terms of the whole line, this is one of the better performing ones, if not the best performing. You know, Stronger With You Oud really holds its own. There's a couple others that do well, but I think this one all around is going to be the most well-rounded, the best bang for your buck, and one of the best performers. Let's keep it rolling with Parfums de Marly Layton Exclusif. I haven't really talked about this one in a long time. It's got oud, almond, vanilla, and coffee. Great note breakdown on this one. Great scent as well. I love Layton, the original. I love it. There's many clones. If you don't want to buy that one, Detour Noir, Amber Oud Exclusive Blue, and stuff like Lalique White and Black Limited Edition. There's a lot of things that smell very similar and get very close. In terms of clones for Oud Exclusive or Layton Exclusive, I'm not sure. I am unaware of any. I'm sure there are some. I don't have any personally. If you know of any, just drop a comment down below. But I wanted to feature this one because it's that Layton DNA, but more niche, truly. at the end of the day, PDM is a niche brand, and one of the reasons they get hate is because things like Layton, Percival, Sedley, Greenlee, even Harrod, you know, they're more designer level. They don't offer a whole lot of challenge, and so this one does. It's spicier, it's earthier, it's smokier, it's stronger even. If you're looking for a more niche experience from the Layton DNA, this is it right here, and it has incredible performance. This one also does come in at a parfum concentration, which helps in that kind of category there. Great one to have, great one to check out. Let's keep it moving with Tom Ford Black Orchid Parfum. So I'll say, you know, I'm not the hugest fan of this. This is not my style, okay? It's got truffle, patchouli, rum, and plum. So kind of chocolatey, earthy, fruity. It's interesting. You know, it's really something different. I like how it smells, but it's not something that I would normally wear. And so because of that, you don't see it on the channel all that often. However, I do like to give credit where credit is due. I think this is a great scent for people who really are into this type of thing and want to stand out and smell different. And in this case here, parfum concentration, it will not go away. And I know that because, you know, I've tried to like it more. I've tried to give it time. I've tried to wear it, see if it would grow on me. Oftentimes, not so much. And so, you know, there have been times where I try to get rid of it, have it on the back of my hand, figure, hey, just wash my hands like I normally do throughout the day and it'll go away. And it doesn't. It doesn't go away. And so it requires, you know, maybe a good washcloth and a generous amount of soap and a lot of scrubbing a couple of times to really get it off. I'm telling you guys, it is strong, and I know from experience here, especially with this one, when I'm intentionally trying to get it to go away because I'm getting a little bit tired of it, and it won't. It's ruthless, it is strong, it's a little bit pricey, but it's worth it if you like this and you want great performance. Okay, let's keep it moving with a newer release, Ralph's Club Elixir. They did a great job. Gosh, you can't even really see the bottle. If I get it just right, you could see it. Definitely beautiful presentation. By far the best one and most expensive one, so makes sense, but the best one. And also, to me, probably the best scent of the line as well. It's got olibanum, leather, patchouli, and orris. Fantastic. So you still get some of the aromatics, which is what the line is built entirely around, but the smokes, the leather, the sweet kind of iris combo, the kind of bright olibanum, kind of somewhat smokiness coming from that. It all comes together and creates something that truly is impressive, to say the least, you know. And this is another one where I think that it, or I would imagine that it probably won't get the same amount of love, or I'm not even wording it correctly. I doubt this is going to be one that gets the amount of attention that it deserves, given that it is Ralph's Club. That's what I was trying to say. And that's because, you know, Ralph's Club isn't all that exciting. The parfum isn't either. I like those, but I understand where people are coming from. And so when they see yet another flanker, people are going to be less likely to maybe dive into it. But I do think that this is offering the most. It's bringing the most variety to the table, to your collection out of all of the others within this line. And honestly, out of a lot of other releases from Ralph Lauren in general, great release, well done. Parfum, great performance. You got to scrub this one to make it go away. Let's go for a Parfums de Marly clone up next. You know, it's Berouj Perlador. It's a clone of Carlisle. Carlisle is one of my favorite offerings from PDM. Absolute beauty of a scent. The patchouli, the vanilla, oh man, it's so good. So good. Gets compared a little bit to Red Tobacco by Mancera, or even like Mystery Tobacco by Carolina Herrera. And there are similarities, but I do find that the Carlisle DNA, and that's including this clone, is more smooth, more well-rounded, less textured and rough and in your face and harsh, because Red Tobacco is next level, especially the new intense version. It takes it up even more. But Carlisle, I find, is a little bit more silky and creamy and smooth and just downright mouth-watering good. It is expensive, you know, even on discounters, you're paying, I think the lowest I've seen it is, I don't know, 220, maybe 200, 220-ish, I guess, somewhere around in there, maybe 230, maybe even 210. Up a bit over 200, lower than 250 generally is where I see it on discounters like Fragrance By. Retail is even more than that. So pricey. But this one is one you can get for, I think, $60. So it's not a cheapie, but it is considerably more affordable than the real deal. And it also provides you with amazing performance as well. Okay, this next one's going to be really expensive, very pricey. But I wanted to feature it anyway. It's BR540 Extrait. So this is probably one of the most expensive scents that I own, especially in this bottle size, which is the 200 ml. They are kind of an interesting bunch because they either come in 200 ml or like the 70 ml. So either you want a little bit or too much, basically. And for some, a little bit might even be not enough, especially at that price point. So you kind of just have to take your pick. I do believe that these are refillable. I could be wrong. It might actually be, yeah. Yeah. I don't think that unscrews. Maybe it's not refillable. I don't know. But regardless, it's expensive. So in terms of BR540 Extrait clones, there is one that I'm going to grab right now. That would be this right here, Al Haramain Amber Oud Ruby Edition, a clone of the actual Extrait. They have clones of the EDP, but there is a difference. The Extrait uses almond. This has almond, and this has almond. That is the difference between the EDP and the Extrait, and that's why Amber Oud Ruby Edition is a clone of the Extrait. Comes in at an absolute fraction of the price, and it's the way to go if you don't want to spend an outrageous, obnoxious amount of money. But for all intents and purposes, I figured I'll just throw the real one in just to make it known that yes, this is way too expensive, but it also performs like almost nothing I've ever seen. And this DNA itself is very bizarre because it's very airy and transparent and kind of wispy. Now the Extrait is lesser that than the EDP because of the almond. But the EDP especially is even more wispy and light. But even though I say light and wispy and airy and transparent, it is still absolutely beast mode to a level that is unfathomable. And so if you're wanting something that just doesn't go away without some serious work, BR540 Extrait or even its clone is a great option. Last up, Tonka Cola by Mancera. Great new release by them. Really well done. Love it. I'm glad that they did this because, you know, it's a DNA that is kind of popular from Roja and things like that, but there aren't enough fizzy cola type of scents out there, in my opinion. You know, there could be more. I'm glad we got one here from Mancera, which is a very affordable entry-level niche brand. Even though I say entry-level here, mostly in price, the scents themselves in terms of quality are amazing as well. Now, the Roja is different than this, or this is different than the Roja. The Roja came first. Roja Parfums Enigma is tobacco forward with some booziness, like a cognac in there. This is not. No tobacco, no booziness. It has tonka bean, it has a Coca-Cola note, some patchouli and things of the like, a little bit of oud, a tiny bit. So they're different, but in a similar category. That's kind of how I look at it. Great performance out of this one. It's merely an eau de parfum, but it still holds its own. And I would imagine at some point, maybe a few years from now, we'll get an intense Tonka Cola. And I would love to see that. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. A few fragrances that will last through a shower. They are that strong, that good of performance. You got to scrub at these things to get them to finally go away. I'll link them down below, and now through the end of the year, some hot fragrances are going to be dropping. All the rare stuff that you can think of, all of the great deals are coming up. This is the time. So get on my mailing list and my texting list at the link and number down below. You'll be the first to know about everything good coming up. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.